Coming through, nigga, you will get toe time.
What's good with the gang? What's good with the squad? What's good with the nation? It's your boy Scoop. You already know, man. We back at you, man. We about to do a little different right here, man. We about to tap in to somewhat of like a little info or bio on, you know what I'm saying, artists from the six, savages from the six. So shout out to MINDSOUL6IX. Pretty much was scrolling my channel and it popped up on my recommendations. I'm like, yeah, let me tell you know what I'm saying? Let me see what's going on here because I do reactions to some of the artists. You know what I'm saying? I really don't know too much on the artists, you know what I'm saying? So it'll be pretty much dope for me to check out, you know what I'm saying, and see what's on the table over here. Savages from the Six. This is gonna be on a little information or a documentary on Wassi. So without further ado, man, let's tap in.
All you niggas wash up, y'all be wash gang. My niggas super sad, we be wash gang. All you niggas wash up, y'all be wash gang.
So if you're a fan of Toronto rap, then you've heard songs by artists like Pressa, Burner Bands, Robin Banks, Houdini, and others. They've just been making a lot of noise in the music scene. Then you've probably heard of Wassi Gang, which is basically the biggest group out of Driftwood at the moment. Most people know the name of the gang derives from a person with an interesting story. So today, on Savages from the Six, we'll take a look at 21-year-old Wassi Peters.
You know what I'm saying? I didn't even know all
Wassi.
you know what I'm saying, how they combined and linked all together in the neighborhood and shit.
So there's no question that Wassi was well respected amongst his friends, enough to have a whole gang named after him,
Right.
and for his friends to spend thousands of dollars having his face custom-made into pendants for their chains. It's clear that he had credit and was well liked within his gang.
Facts.
That being said, let's get into the documented history of Wassi. So like many tales from Toronto, our story starts in the dangerous area of Driftwood, where Wassi grew up. He and a now popular rapper who goes by Pressa were friends from when they were little kids. Sadly, it was clear what path Wassi was headed down from a young age, with his mother saying that he was getting into trouble with the law since he was 13 years old. Not only that, but in an interview with Vlad TV, Pressa actually gives a detailed glimpse into something gruesome that Wassi saw when he was a kid.
My best friend Wassi, he seen somebody like basically there's a guy, he got shot on on our neighborhood like plaza. The guy ran to like our bridge. He walked over the bridge and he seen the guy die. He's dead on the bridge, you know, and he's just a little kid. Like he was probably just like, I don't know, like 10 or 11, right? So he was just like 2 years older than me at this time. So he walked and he's like, fuck, you know, like that's a lot for a kid to see him, like a guy dead on the floor, you know? And then that guy, he was never, even my teacher said like Wassi would never be the same after that, you know? So.
Seeing something that grotesque as a child is bound to have some type of effect on a growing mind. Wassi spent several years of his early teen life in and out of the juvenile detention system. When he was 16, while he was locked at Roy McMurtry Youth Center in Brampton, Wassi was the subject of a news report named From the Margins, Building Curriculum for Youth in Transition. In an interview, Wassi talks with a reporter about how being caught in the system as a young offender has turned him into a quote-unquote monster, and that every day he is fighting for...
I ain't even gonna cap. Being in the system at a young age, you know what I'm saying, now you're having to deal with your parents, the streets, and you know what I'm saying, the law. Man, pressure on your brain. I've been there, man, and I've done that. And I'm just glad it did turn me into a monster for a while, you know what I'm saying? But at one given time, what they do to monsters, they kill monsters or they lock monsters up. And me being locked up changed my situations and changed how I felt about things. It made me move a little different, more strategic, you know what I'm saying? So it's just a learning lesson all through it, man.
Right. It seems like he had a rough time in this prison, and he continues to detail his experiences and talks more about the mindset of a youth offender in this report. Now we go back a few years before the interview. While still in the youth center, Wassi's neighborhood Driftwood and his alleged gang were under scrutiny by the police. They had been organizing a sting, dubbed Project Marvel, targeting an alleged gang in the Jane and Finch area called the Young Buck Killers. Ranging from locations in Toronto to Surrey, BC, the police executed multiple raids and ended up seizing almost 30 guns and over $110,000 in cash.
Yeah, that was up.
Over 400 charges were laid against 60 suspects, one of those being Wassi. Even though he was locked up at the time, he was still charged for his connection with the gang. Being tied to this police project, as well as seeing someone die at a young age, is what drew reporters and journalists to Wassi. So now we go forward in time again, to a few months after the interview. Wassi's charges in connection to Project Marvel stick, but he manages to be granted bail and he is released. He would then go on to enjoy his freedom for a short couple of years before being arrested on weapons charges a short time after his 18th birthday.
Damn.
Now it's not clear when he got back to the jail for his charges, but he was last documented being locked up in late 2013. He ended up being released at some point after. So now things become heinous in the story. We're brought to the morning of June 28, 2015. Police were called to a condo at 36 Lisgar Street, around Queen Street and Dovercourt Road, after a frantic call reported several gunshots being fired. When emergency crews arrived, they found 2 men deceased in the unit on the 22nd floor, suffering from obvious trauma. They would later be identified as Abdiweli Abdullahi and Muhammad Diri, both aged 26. There was one woman in the unit at the time who actually climbed over the balcony and onto the neighbor's balcony to try to escape the shooting. Now this woman wasn't cooperating with police, but their investigation still came up with 2 suspects. 23-year-old Kamal Hassan and Kwasi Peters were named as the suspects, and the police issued warrants and put out wanted posters for their arrest.
That's crazy.
Less than a week after the double murder, Kamal Hassan voluntarily turned himself into police. Wassi, on the other hand, was nowhere to be found and considered to be on the run at this point. There's even surveillance video of Kamal and Wassi in an elevator at a different building shortly after the murders. Kamal is seen reenacting what just went down, almost emotionless to the fact that 2 people were just brutally murdered. Now, while Kamal was in police custody, they had turned their focus on finding Wassi. This search would last for almost a month before they finally found him. So now we're taken to the early hours of July 25th,
You on the camera
2015,
reenacting? I
to a
hope that ain't
nightclub
what you was
that's near
reenacting,
Peter
bro.
Street and Adelaide Street West. Police located Wassi and they knew he was in the club. Uniformed and undercover officers staked outside the building and waited for him to come out. Once Wassi was outside, they surveilled him and watched as he walked through the parking lot and got into his car. This is when the police were ready to make the arrest. A bunch of cruisers swarmed in and blocked off the entrance of the parking lot.
Oh, yeah.
A few officers on bikes close in, and there's no sound but there's shooting going on between the cops and Wassi. You can see officers ducking for cover behind cars.
So he had a shootout with the boys? Oh, yeah, he was out here heavy with it. He knew, he was like, yeah, fuck that, I'm not going back.
Then you can see Wassi in a gray sweatshirt run towards the street but trips and falls and lands in front of the cruiser where he's subdued. The aftermath was over 30 shots being exchanged, with police saying that Wassi fired the first of 7 shots inside his car through the windshield.
They
Out of
lit
all
his
those
shit
shots fired,
up.
he was only struck with a single bullet to his chest. He was quickly rushed to the hospital, but died a short time after.
Oh,
Now, after his death, the co-accused in the case, Kamal, began to explain what happened to police. He claimed that it was solely Wassi who shot the 2 men in the Lisgar condo, and he played no part in the murders. He said,
that just pissed me off. So this man just tried to blame it all on Wassi, huh? Did you do that? Or did I just get that misconstrued? Or did this man just try to blame that all on him and just try to say he didn't?
feared Wassi and stuck by him after the shooting because he didn't know what he might do. During his trial, which was 4 years later, in March of 2019, Kamal also claimed that the footage of him in the elevator reenacting the murders was actually just a ploy to make Wassi think that he wouldn't snitch on him. With the co-accused Wassi having died, it seems like it was an easy case for a defense lawyer. Seemingly, the aftermath of the trial was Kamal being found not guilty on all charges. He was acquitted and effectively beat the case.
Foul as fuck.
No one knows why exactly Wassi decided to shoot at the officers. You can only speculate. All of the officers involved.
He said no one wanted to know why. He knew if he went back for them bodies, it was life guaranteed. So either way he was going, it was over with. You know what I'm saying? There wasn't no beating that. Wasn't no beating that. They was already on his neck. They already had him for fed cases, all types of shit. So, man, R.I.P. to Wassi, man. That's something I didn't know. You know what I'm saying? That's exactly why I fucks with this shit. And I need to react to more, man. I need to get on top of shit like this, man. So if y'all fuck with this shit, man, comment links in the descriptions below on shit I should react to like this, man. Like, for real, man. Because that was some real deal shit. I didn't even know that. They said this man tried to blame it all on him and he got it off. Not guilty. Damn.
Any wrongdoing after the police dash cam footage surfaced. It seems like Quasi had a rough life, and honestly it's a sad end to his story. But he continues to live on through Wassi Gang and through their music. All we can say for now is rest in peace.
Man, real talk, rest in peace. Quasi Wassi, man, let's get it, man. Shout out to the gang, shout out to the squad, man. Shout out to MINDSOUL6IX. Go over there and subscribe to MINDSOUL6IX. His links is in the descriptions, man. He got dope content over there, man. Make sure y'all go check it out, man. MINDSOUL6IX. Descriptions, please. Descriptions below. Go tap in, man. That's crazy. R.I.P. Wassi, man. Let's get it.
Y'all here, nigga, roll that. I be y'all here, nigga, roll that. Where my woe at? Where my woes at? Come through, nigga, you'll get toe tagged. Where my woes at? Where my woes at? Coming through, nigga, you'll get toe tagged.